In Holyoke, the Military Order of a Purple Heart will hold a ceremony at the JFK Memorial at 6 o'clock. He was the only president, actually, to receive a Purple Heart.
Joining us now with more insight on JFK and his time in Western Mass are Thomas Carty, a Springfield College professor, and JFK historian, Richard Coulton, a historian at the Springfield Armory. Thank you so much for being with us this morning, gentlemen.
Thank you for
Thomas,
having
let's
us.
start with you. Let's start just with a little history about John F. Kennedy.
Sure. I think this day, when you think about the commemoration of the assassination, Kennedy affected not just the people who were alive at that time, but the subsequent generations. And myself, I know growing up in Massachusetts, and my grandparents actually, James and Louise Murphy, and Thomas and Agnes Carty, they both were at Kennedy's inauguration. So I think for people in Massachusetts, so many of us are affected by it, and that inspired me really to study history and to become a history professor, and to ultimately to write this book I wrote about John Kennedy.
And now, I think the funeral is something that, obviously the world paid attention to it, and it rested on the shoulders of Jacqueline.
Right.
Talk to us about the funeral. Where did she draw some of her inspiration from?
It's a great question. That John Kennedy was elected in 1960, and Abraham Lincoln was elected in 1860, and she, after the funeral, she quickly recognized some parallels: an assassinated president in Abraham Lincoln, her husband assassinated, and Lincoln, of course, famously seen as the liberator of the slaves, and John Kennedy, someone who had fought for civil rights. And so she consciously looked at parallels in making the funeral similar to what happened in 1860. So John Kennedy's casket was brought along on a horse-drawn carriage, just as Lincoln's had been done. Even the trappings of the White House after this were designed after what was done in 1860.
So a lot of that
1860s.
Right, was done in the same way as Lincoln's funeral.
Exactly.
Let's talk about Camelot and the influence that their culture had on the Kennedy family here in America.
Well, this was also, Jacqueline Kennedy fashioned the image of John Kennedy as it continues today, because she conducted an interview, or she offered herself for an interview, and she said that they used to always listen to the musical Camelot, which had just come out in 1961. And she said that there will never be another Camelot. She said there will be great presidents in the future, but there will never be another Camelot. And that was very important in creating this iconic image of John Kennedy, which we still have, of course, today. This is why the commemoration is so paid attention to, I believe.
Now, he was an Eastern Massachusetts native, but he has a lot of ties to our area, our neck of the woods, Western Massachusetts. Talk about what he did at your school, Springfield College.
Sure. In particular, at Springfield College, he received an honorary degree, and he accepted the opportunity to give the commencement address in 1956. He accepted an appointment in 1960. He was a corporator of the college. He accepted a recognition as a corporator of the college. And I think his values paralleled and linked a lot with Springfield College. He valued the humanities, arts, social sciences, and physical education. And he chose, when he created his Peace Corps, Springfield College was one of the sites where volunteers were trained before they went overseas in the Peace Corps mission. And he emphasized physical fitness and creating a national physical fitness tests and tracking. So I think there's a lot of parallels with the Springfield College mission of spirit, mind, and body and service to humanity and John Kennedy's presidency. And so we've recognized that at our college, I think, in trying to remember that image.
And now, the parks. Now, Richard, Kennedy visited the Armory. Tell us about that visit.
Kennedy visited when he was a senator, toward the end of his first senatorial term in October 1957.
And we're looking at some photos now of him, really taking his time and enjoying the gun collection there.
What he's actually looking at, he's with the superintendent and Congressman Ed Bolin, and what he was looking at are 3 weapons which had been developed, which you still see in use today, and they had just been adopted that very same year. The M14 and the M60 light machine gun. The M14 rifle is what's in the hand of the superintendent there, and you see Bolin between Senator Kennedy and the superintendent.
It's quite amazing just how many ties he has to Western Massachusetts, and actually he also was in the St. Patrick's Day Parade in the St. Patrick's Parade in Holyoke, and also in the Springfield Parade. So he definitely has come and visited us here on our territory quite a bit.
That's right.
And actually, we're looking at, this is the Springfield, where he was when he came to the Springfield Parade. It's amazing how much history that we share on such a day that we look back and remember.
And then the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Holyoke as well. Oh, and you can
I see
actually see
a
it.
22 News car in the back.
Yeah, it's quite old though, from way back when. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning on such a significant day in history. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you can find even more information about President Kennedy at our website, wwlp.com. From timelines to photo galleries, you can even take a stroll through history and take a look back at the life of the president.